start by introducing myself. My name is Deborah Wright. I reside in Ontario, Canada, and this is my guide dog, Glenna. Close, close. And she's actually an American. She's from White Plains, New York. I lost my sight 9 years ago to glaucoma. It got very, very aggressive. They tried to preserve it. It ended up taking my sight completely except for light perception in my right eye, and I'm left with 10% straight ahead in my left eye. So I have no peripheral and no depth perception. So that's why I walk funny. It's been a transition because I went from one day driving to the next day losing my license and being basically grounded. Yes, it was hard. I've had my boo-hoo-hoos. However, it didn't get me any place. It is what it is. There's nothing that's going to change and bring my sight back, so I just picked up and moved on. At first I was with my cane. I'm sorry I didn't bring it. It's a long indicator cane. And once I got proficient with that, the CNIB, which is the Canadian National Institute for the Blind, who was working with me and training me with the cane and everything, suggested that I get a guide dog. At first I wasn't prepared, and then it would be 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, I decided, yes, I was ready for a guide dog. And so then I started, as much as they interviewed me, I interviewed the schools. Because there was a couple that I phoned, I did not like their attitude. Because I said, what if the dog and the handler does not match up? Well, most people are completely blind and they won't know the difference, which is a crock. And so I didn't like that school, I moved on to another one. I ended up talking to Guiding Eyes out of New York, White Plains, New York, and really hit it on with Ben Crawley, who is the administrator there. Prior to losing my sight, I did have a kennel. I had Alaskan Malamutes, which I bred, showed, and did obedience with. So when they told me that I needed to go to school for 3 weeks, I'm going, yeah, right, what are you going to teach me in 3 weeks that I don't already know? But I was found out fast. A guide dog starts out, first of all, Guiding Eyes has their own kennel. So they do an extensive breeding program with a lot of research on the genetics, what works and what doesn't work. It's very, very controlled. I know that between when I first got my first guide and Glenna, there was that big storm that went through New York, and they were very concerned about the breeding kennel because they had, I forget how many dogs they had there, and there was a couple of the females ready for whelp. And the volunteers that came in to help out were astonishing because you could not drive to the center. They had to walk in and be able to feed and care for the puppies and the dogs. At the school, they usually have around 150 dogs in process of steps of training. The dogs start out in the whelping pens at the breeding grounds, and they're there for 8 weeks. They're handled and that sort of stuff, but then they get to go to puppy raisers. This is one thing that anybody, a sighted person or anybody, can help out with, and the school is always looking for is puppy raisers. What they do is they provide you with a puppy at 8 weeks old. That puppy will live with you for 12 to 14 months, and you do basics with it: housebreaking, obedience, socialization. They provide you with a harness and all the training. You go into a school, a training session, I should say, not to the school. I think it's once a month until they feel that the dog is ready to move on. And it's a lot of responsibility because at that time, you're training the dog to fit into society. These people, this is emotional. I can't thank these people enough for what they do, because without the puppy raisers, people like myself would not have the opportunity to have such a wonderful dog. At the time of 12 to 14 months, they then go to the school, and they're trained there for 4 to 6 months just for a guide dog. A guide dog has to go through, it's an FIT testing, which is fit for training. If they fail that 3 times, they are pulled from service. They no longer can be a guide dog. Glenna's sister was in training, and she had 3 weeks to be certified, and she failed the test for the 3rd time. She was pulled from service. Now these dogs are re-careered. Luckily, and she was pulled because she likes to smell stuff. So can you guess who got her? Homeland Security. They snapped her up really fast and she's being used as a scent dog. I do not know where, I don't know for what, because they'll train them for food, money, bombs, narcotics. They specify and specialize in what they can do. Glenna made it. The first, I'm going to step back just a little bit. The first guide dog I had was a big yellow. His name was Bo, and he was my boo boy. And we were very close. They had an eye test they wanted us to do on the dogs, and I took him there, and he failed. At 18 months, he was pulled from service. He had cysts growing in the back of his eyes. He could still see, but knowing, this is the type of school that this is, knowing that that dog had an eye problem, they pulled him from service because if anything was to happen, it would be on the liability of the school. But once again, both times they flew me into the school. I flew out of Buffalo, New York. They're excellent. They even wanted to pay my husband the gas money to drive from our house to the airport. They flew me in to New York City, picked me up there, and took me to White Plains, New York. Sorry, Yorktown Heights, New York, where the school is. And there I resided for 3 weeks. And we had beautiful suites to ourselves. The first day we were getting orientated with the school, and then we went to White Plains the second day. They bused us there, and that's where we got to meet the dogs for the first time. They try you with 2 or 3 dogs to see which one bonds with you and you can work with. Prior to that, you have a home interview where you have a field worker come and test how fast you work, how strong your pull is, what your home life is like, what the environment's going to be like for the dog, and to basically find out what you're capable of doing and not doing. To be able to qualify for a guide dog, you have to be certified legally blind. So when you know that, see a dog from a accredited school, you know that that person is legally blind. It doesn't mean that we live in the dark. It just means we have various depths of sight or lack of sight. So we get to the school. They train us with everything. I figured we're there for 3 weeks. What can they show us? We started at 7 o'clock in the morning and didn't leave till 7 o'clock at night. That's how much training went in. You continuously were trained. We were put in vans and taken to White Plains, New York, which was more of a city life. Taught how to walk around with the traffic and the dogs to make sure they weren't picking up stuff, how to walk on a sidewalk, how to walk on a country lane. And when you can't see, we have to stop and say to the dog, to the curb, and the dog will turn and put us at the gravel's edge, so that we're walking along the edge of the road, not out into the middle of the road. These dogs are taught, any professionally taught dog walks on the left side. I know a lot of trails that we walk on, people run on the opposite side. I've had people yell at me, "What are you, stupid or blind, that you're walking on the wrong side of the sidewalk?" I said, "Well, blind works. The dog's trained on it." At my mother's place, there's a beautiful trail, and it's paved, but it's about this high off the ground. I think, I don't know how far that got. This high. And she walks on the left side, so she stops me from stepping off of that and twisting my ankle or whatever. But anyways, going back to, they took us to Manhattan and had us walk around downtown Manhattan in all the traffic with all the people and everything. That's why she's not afraid of people or navigating through. We went on the subway, we went on the train, we walked Manhattan. The only thing they were not allowed to do is to put them on a plane for training. That we did cold turkey going home. What else can I tell you? It's a really rewarding experience. Even though I've lived in the same town all my life or city, my family did not want me wandering around with not being able to see. With having a guide dog, it gives me independence that I can. Glenna now knows the route. If I tell her I want to go to the bank, if I want to go to the drugstore, or I want to go to the grocery store. Or let's just go for a walk down to the park. She can take me to the park or to the canal. A prime example how smart these dogs are is my boo boy, my mother and I had gone up to the park, which is a fair jaunt from my house, because they were having a concert up there. She's on a scooter and we thought, oh, we're fine, until we realized the scooter didn't have a headlight on it. And she's on a scooter, so now we can't phone a cab to get home. How are we going to get home? All I had to do was tell Bo, take me home. And he took us home. Zigzagged through the neighborhoods, but took us right to the door. Even here on the ship, Glenna knows where the elevators are. She knows where the washrooms are. She knows where my cabin is. She knows where the potty box is on the bow on deck 4. Hidden from all of you, and I have one on my deck for her, or balcony. She's learned the ship to know where things are and where things aren't. Yes?
Was she trained in
Yeah.
school for stuff like that?
Yes, to find an elevator, to find an escalator, she knows the difference. To find the stairs, she'll stop in front of me if I'm coming to stairs so that I don't fall down. If we're going upstairs, she puts her 2 front paws on till I can get my bearings to go up the stairs. That's all part of the training at the school. And all I needed to do is walk her around the ship once and show her where things are. For example, today we were in the Red Cell restaurant and I had to go to the washroom and we had to come forward. The washroom back there was closed. So the server brought me to the one up in front and he said, oh, I'll wait for you to take you back to your seat. I said, there's no need. I just have to tell Glenda to take me to my chair. And she took me back to where I had been sitting. So let's show them some stuff, Glenn. You gonna wake up? Hey, baby. You gonna wake up?
Yeah, can I ask you a question,
Yes.
please? How does she do around other animals?
Bigger dogs she ignores. Because she lives with a Shih Tzu, she wants to play with the little ones. She's really good. She loves people, she loves animals, she'll play with everything. And that's why one thing that I miss that, like to go visit the sloths or something like that, I can't take her in there because she would want to play with them, and I don't want them to scare her or either one to get hurt. Sal can tell you what she's like with the flamingos. We went, was that Costa Maya?
Yes.
Yeah. So we just had another experience in Costa Maya. She just stood there and watched the flamingos. Like, what are they? How come they got long legs? But she was good. This last time we were in Costa Maya, they have a fountain around the back, and she went and got a drink of water the first time. The second time, she decided to use the fountain for a bidet.
Added some water.
So, can you sit, Glenn? Can you sit for me? Close. Closer. Closer.
Oh my gosh.
Good girl.
Deb, I have another question.
Yes.
As far as protection, when you're out and about, would she sense if there's trouble? If somebody, God forbid, if somebody was trying to harass you or?
I think through the bonding, yes. Yesterday in Belize, we were sitting in the breezeway by Diamonds International, and she was laying on the floor in front of me, and a clerk from the store came over and sat beside me and started talking to me. And she got up right away and sat right close to me. And when the clerk got up and went back to the store, she got up and sat in the spot.
See there?
That's
She
great.
she did not want that person back sitting
That's
beside
great.
me.
Wow.
Now, how much she would protect me, I have no idea. My boo boy, yes, because when we were traveling one time, I was with my husband, and I was taking him out to get busy on some grass. And all of a sudden, he stopped, and now, these dogs don't bark. They're trained not to bark. He started grumbling, and just, the hackles were up and everything. I don't know what was going on out there, but he was starting to lunge and everything. And my husband was gonna take him. I mean, he was a big dog. And I said, Ken, I have to handle him. If I can't handle him, I can't keep him. So I could get him settled back down and telling him it's okay, we won't go over there, we won't go over there. And then when we went back to the room, we heard they were migrant workers, and they said, don't go near that room or truck, they got a vicious dog. So, and we didn't correct them. But I would like to believe that if somebody was going to hurt me, she would intervene.
Intervene. Great.
Yes. To what extent, I have no idea. Do I want to test it? No, I do not. So, but that's not part of their training. That's part of the bonding. When you bond with a dog, they will protect you. So that's just,
Approximately how many of the one-word commands does she understand, or do you have any idea?
I talk to her. I don't. She knows when she's getting a one-word command that I want it now. Gonna
You
up.
mentioned curb and stairs, and I was just wondering approximately those.
Gonna sit. Gonna down. Down. All the way. Stay. This is her favorite. Close. Closer. Oh, that's a good girl. There you go. Let's show them the other trick. No, don't touch. Let's see if we can do this. Set. Set. I don't know who was harder on her or me trying to get it set. She'll set like that. What else can we show them? I forgot to bring her boots. She has boots for the hot pavement. She has socks for the hot deck. The socks have got a traction pad on the bottom, so it protects her feet from the hot deck. and it gives her traction if it's wet. And she's getting better with them, putting them on. When I first started using them, she's like. Any other questions? Pardon me?
Stay and walk away.
Oh, okay. She usually will stay there until I call her. Close. And close. Now, if the chairs were, okay, let's get up so we can, okay, up. Thank you. Back, over.
Now, when my daughter had her dog trained, she trained it in German commands.
Yeah, I had a shepherd that was like that, yes.
Did you see how Denny was heading towards that chair and Glenna put her head so Denny couldn't go any further?
Police dogs are, I used to have a retired canine. Police dogs are trained in German because criminals don't speak German.
Right.
So they can't tell you to release.
Right.
Glenna, take me to my chair. Take me to my chair.
Does she understand fast and slow?
Yeah, hep up. And steady. Is that Uncle Sal? Let's go back.
Does she sleep with you at night?
Yes.
You should hear them arguing who's gonna get where.
Well, especially these beds because they're tiny. We have a single bed. And I'm telling her, this is my half. Move over. Last night she decided she was gonna lay beside me. So,
It was bad last night.
yeah, it was rocking and rolling, and so she wanted the comfort of being beside me.
Now, Deb, how long do you get to keep your dog, your guide dog?
It's usually 8 or 9 years. The vet will decide whether they're capable of it. We also have field reps that come out to test the dogs to see how they're performing, to make sure that they're still ready for service. If they slow down too much, or if they're being disobedient, then they're either going to reschool them, or they're going to pull them from service. Now with Glenna, she may have to be, she'll go with the field rep for a couple days for traffic check. Because when I'm walking and a vehicle pulls out in front of me, she's supposed to back me up. She just goes around it. It is cute. But otherwise, it's their health. Now, with Guiding Eyes, at the school that she's from, they value these dogs at $50,000. That's how much they have wrapped up into these dogs during their working years. They also have, I also have a stipends of $500 a year from the school to help out with veterinarian costs. People think that it was easy getting this dog on the ship because it's a seeing eye dog.
Oh my God, no.
And it is far, far from the truth.
Say that again.
Yeah, Sal's helped me with it too, because each island has a different requirement, and some of them are very lax. Like Mexico, she just had to have a rabies shot, and the Department of Agricultural wanted to examine her, so, and a complete health check. My least favorite place right now is Grand Cayman. They put me through the ringer. They sent me paperwork. I took it to the vets, had it filled out. Oh, we don't want that form, we want this form. Okay, so and right from the beginning, I told them I was not getting off there. I do a lot of research to find out if it's a contained cruise port and how many loose dogs are around. If it's a contained cruise port, there's no dogs allowed in it. Whereas someplace like Grand Cayman or Jamaica, the dogs roam free. So they said, no, we want this form filled out. So, okay, fine. take it back to the vets, have it filled out. Each time I'm saying, I am not getting off the ship. They send me a less sharply worded letter stating that if I got sick and had to go ashore, the dog was not allowed. Or if the dog got sick, it was not allowed. So what we ended up doing is I drafted a letter up stating that Sal would take custody of the dog during the cruise if anything happened to me. That way nobody could dispute it. Jamaica, we were not getting off there either. However, all I had to do there was to fill out this questionnaire and state that we were not going to disembark. The cost of the shots to get off at Costa Maya and Jamaica, they require a titer test, which is an extensive rabies testing. Costs $400. I didn't think either port was worth that. Sorry. Maybe if I was going there for vacation, but just for a couple hours, no.
And they charge you to get off the ship as well.
Pardon me?
And they charge you to get off the ship as well when you get to the port.
Yes. When I got to Belize cost me $35 to get off the ship, to file the paperwork. Now we're doing it back to back, and Mahogany Bay next week's going to cost me $23 to get off the ship. And even though I paid Belize this week for the paperwork, if I want to get off next week, I have to repay that
Jeez.
for the paperwork. So needless to say, we probably will not get off. The vet bills to get her on, to get her all of her shots and everything, ran me about $1,200. And I have to walk around with a book with all the paperwork at all times, that if any official stops me, I have complete paperwork for her. The ship has their own copy, so I don't have to carry it on the ship, but on shore I do.
Your ID card.
Yes, I have, when we were in New Orleans, we wanted to use a taxi, and the cab driver, no dogs, and I said yes. He said, I don't take dogs in my cab. I said, you deny me access to this cab, or to this cab with my dog, it's a federal offense. And he said, what? I said, this is a seeing eye dog. And he says, well, do you have any proof ID? And I said, sure. I carry an ID card that shows a picture of Glenna and I that's certified from the school. I do not hesitate to show that. I am proud of the school that I got her from, and I'm proud to have her. I don't hesitate in answering questions and that sort of stuff. I think one of the funniest questions, people come up to me and say, well, you don't look blind. What is a blind person supposed to look like?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And you don't realize or I should say, you come to appreciate people with disabilities, all kinds of disabilities, when you face one yourself. Whether it be a seizure dog, working with a dog, or on a scooter, or in a wheelchair, you have more compassion for all those people because you know yourself what it's like to be limited. On the ship here, this one here is rocking and rolling. We've been in rough water. And I would challenge any one of you, just do it for a giggle. Close one eye, squint through the other eye, and try to walk down the hallway.
Yeah.
Your equilibrium is off like crazy. If it was doing this, I'm fine, because the ship would come up to hit my foot. But when it's doing this, it's like, okay, I should have had a couple drinks, because it would have felt the same.
Debbie, at the point where you do need another dog, do you have to go through 3 weeks of training again and all of that?
I had to do it with her. That was very hard. First of all, when I got Bo, our bond was instant. When they brought him around the corner Because like I say, I have a little bit of sight. I seen him, he seen me. He broke from the trainers. They had never lost control of a dog before. And he came right to me and he wanted to stay with me. And he whimpered when they took him away. I bawled. And the trainers came up and said, Deb, what's the matter? You took my dog, you took my dog. And they said, okay, they don't tell us. We fly in on Sunday. Monday we have orientation at the school. Tuesday they introduce us to the dogs, different dogs. Wednesday we find out which dogs we have. We do not find out the dog's name nor which one until Wednesday morning, and they bring them to our room. They had to tell me I had both because I was so very, very upset. In the meantime, so I get Bo into my room. It's just him and I, and we're bonding and everything. That was Wednesday, and on Thursday, my stepdad passed away. My mother and my family did not want me to leave the dog. Or I guess maybe it was the following week. I don't know the timing. Because I had waited for the dog, and I needed to have one. They did not want me to go back home for the funeral. So I had to sit in New York State, and Norm lived in Michigan. So I stayed there. He was a great comfort because I had trained dogs before and I knew how to handle them. They have a Helen Keller. I don't know if you all know who Helen Keller is. They have a park at the school, and they allowed me to go over there and grieve in private with the dog. So that really built a bond up.
Are the dogs already named when you
Yes,
get there?
yes. When a litter, Glenna was from a G litter. They go through the alphabet, so every dog in that litter would start with a G. And they go through and they do not reproduce names. They don't use a name twice. They place, at any given time, they have about 180 dogs in the back kennel. Ones that have just came in, intermediates, and ones that are waiting to be placed. And then they have the ones that have to be recareered. And that was hard when I took Bo back, knowing that he was right out in the building and I couldn't be with him. And they told me they put a special lock on my key card that wouldn't allow me in the kennel building. It would set off alarms because I wanted to go over there. It was a strain on both of us. He moped. He wouldn't respond to anybody. Well, for the first week he was there. He was there for probably 2 weeks until the puppy raisers could come and get him. Again, they were an older couple. They decided they could not afford the medical treatments for him. And their best friend, who was a puppy raiser's daughter, ended up taking him, and she was a vet. And so he retired in Florida. As it was, Amanda had 2 children, got along great, and the cats and everything. They got along great, no problem. But when Amanda's sister came over, who was specialized in dogs, eyes for the dogs, also a vet, he bonded instantly with her. So he's now living with her in Arizona. He's used for training vets on how to handle dogs, and socialization and that sort of stuff. So he's still working, but just not in a guide dog capacity. As I said, it was very hard to fly back with him, knowing I was having to leave him there. This one had big shoes to fill. And for the first, I'm going to say week, it was hard to adjust to another dog. And she kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And finally, she broke through, that I could put Bo aside. So, not aside, I mean, as you can tell, he still has a special part in my heart. But now she's right beside him there. So, I'm gonna take her harness off and play. see. Go see. Go see.
Seeing everyone.
Thank you for the kisses. I miss those kisses.
She got your kisses for the year.
Four on the floor, baby.
We don't get them anymore, so I'll take yours.
He wasn't shy of giving kisses either.
Hey Deb, I have a question.
Oh, you missed it.
If you have, like, say you have a medical issue of some kind and you cannot communicate to her that something's wrong, is there a procedure or something that she can do to notify help for you?
Usually they try to educate people that if you see a dog that's in harness wandering, you know that
There's an issue.
yeah, there's an issue. You need to find. I don't know. I can't really answer it. Like, she would not be able to, but if you had another issue, then they would train her to notify somebody. Yes.
So if something would happen and she was out with the harness and somebody took the handle, would she take that person back to you?
One thing that I would recommend is if you ever see a guide dog, do not touch the handle. You can take the lead, but do not touch the handle. You'll notice that Sal will take her for a walk in harness, but he always has just the lead, not the handle. Okay, yeah, that's good. I want to thank you all for coming and learning about a guide dog and understanding just, the one thing that I didn't mention is I wear a harness, or dog wears a harness, it says do not pet, no eye contact, no talk, and that sort of stuff. And that is very crucial because when she's in harness working, it's really hard. You see how friendly she is. It's really hard for her to not go up to people. And when she goes up to people or they call her or pet her, I have people that stop me and they're rubbing her ears going, oh, do not pet. What? Yeah, you're not supposed to pet my dog because then she's not paying attention. She walks me into something, I get hurt. She's distracted and then it breaks the routine of her. So again, I just want to thank everybody for coming and for your patience. And I hope you found it interesting. And please help yourself to the brochures. If you know somebody that you think that might be interested in the information, take a brochure. That's what the school sent them for, is to spread the education around. And I think there also is a little white, like I said before, it's like a business card there, and it has a magnifying glass on it that'll fit into your wallet for any time you need something to be magnified.